My name is Jacob and welcome to another episode of Raw and Uncut on the Abrasive Conversations platform. In this episode, I would like to give my views and my take on Starlink. So those of you know that Elon Musk is trying to get Starlink operational in South Africa. But for him to do that, he needs certain criteria, and it currently doesn't meet his criteria. And one of those criteria is a 30% or 25% BE partner to help him roll out Starlink in South Africa. From the interaction in the White House and the meeting between Trump and the South African government, it became clear that Elon Musk is really behind everything that targets currently at South Africa, because Johan Rupert made a point of saying that we need Starlink and we need Elon in South Africa. We need Starlink on the premise that that would help prevent violence in rural areas and especially farm attacks. So with that being said, if the South African government are successful in their attempts to adjust some of the policy requirements to get Elon Musk operational in South Africa, I have three major problems with that particular push. The first one is when it comes to Starlink, I do not trust Starlink. I do not trust any tech company, especially tech companies that is implicated somehow in the genocide in Gaza. I also do not trust tech companies that have so much personal data available, because what then happens is that these companies gets a very precise online profile of you, and with Starlink, it can actually then trace all of your movements wherever you go in the world. So for example, if you connect via a cell phone, wherever you are in the world, these companies can track you. It is being done currently, but with Starlink, there is so much more, and it's so much precision, because there is not a lot of dead zones if Starlink operates. So me as a South African who likes my level of freedom, I do not like to be surveilled 100% of the time. And because I don't trust Elon Musk, I don't trust the United States, and I do not trust Donald Trump, I think this could lead potentially to a massive intelligence breach and intelligence gathering exercise, especially data that South Africans want to protect. Now, Elon already have a lot of data of South Africans, and that is through X. So when he bought X, he bought a lot of the personal data and behavior, personal data of people. But with Starlink, he can trace it more and much better. So Elon is not a person who's trying to do good. He's a person who gathers information, fund political campaigns that is extremely right-wing and problematic for people that are not white, and he used that data or data in counter strikes and countermeasures against these people. So I do not trust Starlink, and I hope many other South Africans also share my sentiment. The second issue that I have with Starlink is that it's not really needed in South Africa, and the South African government doesn't really need Starlink. Currently in South Africa, we have 4 major mobile operators, and they fairly connect the rural areas. For example, the South African government have a 40% stake in Telkom. Now, Telkom is digital currently, It previously was analog. It was connected by lines, but over the past 10 years, they rolled out a lot of cell phone towers in rural areas. So in many places in South Africa, in the most rural areas, there is a cell phone reception. And through that cell phone reception, you can connect with LTE Wi-Fi. So you have a level of connectivity. But the South African government, also through the PIC, have stakes in MTN and Vodacom. So the South African government have stakes in major cell phone companies and internet providers. And these internet providers are already operational in rural areas. So why do we need another player in a currently already congested environments? And then there is other internet providers that use Vodacom, Telkom, Cell C, MTN to give us internet in rural areas. So for me personally, I don't see the need for Starlink in South Africa, especially if we are already connected. Now the connectivity in rural areas can be much better because there's a lot of dead zones in South Africa, especially on farms. And in the most rural areas, there is not connectivity. For example, about 400 kilometers from Cape Town, there's a place called Stofkraal. Now in Stofkraal, there is not much cell phone reception. About 500 kilometers from Cape Town, still in the Western Cape, there's a place called Cloete. There is no cell phone reception. So none of the four is operational in that community. However, Trust is, it's a cell phone, a private cell phone provider that connect people to the internet. So even though there is no cell phone operator in that area, people still have access to the internet. However, the poorest in that community cannot access any internet or remote government services. So it's not ideal. So we need to connect the rural areas much more. So there's a need for it. But that is where the role of the South African government comes in. They have to make sure that rural areas is connected. And if they have major stakes in companies such as Telkom, Vodacom, and MTN, then they must encourage these companies to make the rural area more connected. So we do not need Starlink. Which brings me to the third point. Starlink is expensive. Like many of Elon's projects, Starlink is extremely expensive. The estimated cost, so how Starlink works is that you need to connect via satellite. Now, most of South Africans know what a satellite dish is because up until not too long, they have connected to DSTV or multi-choice through a satellite dish. So people would come, they would install this dish, and they would give you some device, and through that device, you would then be able to watch television and different programs if you buy it. Now, Starlink works the same way. You have to buy a satellite dish. People will come install it, and then you will have to pay a monthly subscription the same way as you would do with DSTV. Now, in this particular instance, just the installation can cost up to 6,000 Rand. And then you still have to pay a very hefty monthly allowance or subscription fee that ranges, that can go well over 1,200 Rand. So for the poor rural community and people in that communities, like Cloete and Stofkraal, the people in that community will not be able to afford any Starlink reception or network. So even though Starlink is faster then most of the cell phone providers at this particular point, it's still not an affordable issue for South Africans. Now here comes a point that I don't see a lot of people in the media discussing. The question that people have to ask, can farmers in South Africa afford the installation and the subscription fee on a monthly basis? Now there is farmers in South Africa that is able to do that. But believe me, farming is a humbling exercise in South Africa, and sometimes cash flow and a monthly subscription of 1,200 and more is a luxury for many farmers, especially farmers that are into livestock or do one type of crops or one type of livestock. It is extremely difficult. So even the farmers might not have the type of access that they need to keep them safe. So with all of that being said, I really do not see how Starlink would add value to the current problem of connectivity that we currently experience in South Africa. It will give rich people, rich farmers, or the people who are can afford that installation fee of 6,000 rand and the monthly subscription of more than 1,200 rand super fast internet, but it doesn't solve the problem that we currently have in South Africa. The question that I have, if Starlink comes, would the government be able to use it? Would the government use that to install it in various communities and make that available to communities? That is an option. But if you explore that option, then you can also explore the option of Vodacom, MTN, and Telkom, companies that the government already have a stake in. So I do not see we have to get a new company in when we already have stakes in company to do exactly what we wanted to do. So, which brings me back to my first point that I'm trying to make. I do not trust Starlink, and I do not trust Elon Musk. Ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think. Do you trust Starlink? Do you think it's a good idea, or should we invest and improve the capabilities of our current mobile operators in South Africa to make rural South Africa more connected? Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another episode.